Hi guys, how you doing? I'm live. Just want to do some bed rant. I just basically woke up. I came home from my walk, right to sleep till past midnight. So I needed sleep. Seems like I get sleep like that every other day, and then the other day, it's also every other day I get very little, like 1 or 2 hours. So, but it works for me, you know. But sleep is important. So I want to rant about something I haven't gone into as much detail as I'm going to go in today. Plus, I wanted to talk about something here. I think Shirtless Guy. It's kind of like when Vince. I keep forgetting his last name. That is Alice Cooper. When he calls himself Alice Cooper, he speaks of it as a third person. He says Alice when it's actually him. It's like calling it like it's someone else, but really it's him. And I do a lot of that same thing with Shirtless Guy. When I say Shirtless Guy, it's me, but I'm saying it as a third person. And I learn from Shirtless Guy sometimes. I learn from what his motto is and all that. I have to remind myself, and plus I learn from him as if that's somebody else sometimes. But it's good to remember that. What would Shirtless Guy do, in other words? And I try to not lose that, you know, and I don't think I do. But the topic I want to talk about is the walk I took when I was 13 years old. And I haven't gone into detail about exactly what went through my head. And I may not even have it all straight now, but I'll give it my best shot. So let's do that. Haven't gone into detail before on that. So what happened, I was 13. I like the number 13. It's backwards 31. It adds to 4. 4 is a hard number, but it's one of the coolest vibrations, really. And it's in occult thought, you know, like mysticism, which I'm into, and magic, you know, universal thinking, you know, causing things to happen by giving it energy. 4 is like the most perfect number, really. It really is. It's a really awesome number. And 13 adds to 4. 1 and 3 add to 4. So I like the number 4. If you take my birthday, 12/6/1966, it all adds to 31. Except if you add the 9, it adds to 40. But 40 is the same vibration as 31, and 31 is 13 backwards, and 13 backwards, and 31 and 40 are all 4 if you add the numbers together. So even though I was born on the 6th, which that's also important, the day you're born is important, but also the month, day, and year added up together is important. And for me, that is 4. So you know, I don't have the easiest life. You know, I have a 4. It's a challenging, but I like that. I like being challenged. 3 and 5 aren't challenging. 3 is you got it too easy. 5 is you got it too easy. But 4, brass tacks, kid. And I kind of like that. It's followed me my whole life, and I like it. And 6 is like family love and very, very loving, outward, friendly vibe, and that's cool to have too. The 6 and the 4 together both have bearing on my energy because of my birthday as I've gone through my life. But I was 13 years old, and something told me, like something was happening. It wasn't even all me, because what is a 13-year-old? I mean, but something told. It was about midnight. It was about this time. Well, it's later than midnight right now. It was about midnight, and something told me to just take a walk. So I slipped out. I slipped out of the house, all that, and just took like a 2-hour walk from like midnight to 2 in the morning. At 13 years old, it was safe in the day. In the 80s, it was safe. You could do that kind of thing. I mean, nobody was like, "Oh, there's this, there's that," and we lived in a good neighborhood. So I just walked for 2 hours. And I want to go through what best I can recall of what went through my head, because it basically, I figured out my life at 13 years old. I figured out everything I was going to do. And I never really added to it, and I never really failed to do it. It's like that was my gestalt of my life in that 2-hour walk, all by myself. Didn't even tell anybody I was gone. My dad didn't even know I was gone. You know, that's part of the point, right? But here goes. So first of all, I decided that I didn't love my parents, and they didn't love me. I understood this. I accepted that, and I understood it. So when my dad was hitting me, I wouldn't take it emotionally. and I would try not to take it like in the head mentally too. I would transfer it to my head, but then even then I would try to let that go and just make it physical. Just make it like I'm being hurt physically. You can pound my body, but you don't get my heart, because I don't love you and I know you don't love me, and I accept that and I know that. So it was only flesh wounds, in other words, no matter what he did to me. And I made my mind up about that when I was 13 years old, and it saved me from really getting crumbled by his, being pounded by him, because I didn't take it in the heart. I didn't take it as a personal thing. I took it as physical suffering, nothing more, nothing less. And I stayed to that, and it kept me. And that's one reason why I'm here. And my sister is just like, well, wherever she is, I don't know. She didn't make it. She didn't get out of it intact. I did. And a lot, first of all, that's mostly because of this walk, and largely because of what I'm telling you right now. I just decided to divorce myself from any kind of emotional attachment to my parents, especially him, my dad. My mom too. She slapped me and stuff, but who cares? I mean, that almost felt good, because I know it wasn't my dad hitting me, LOL. But that enabled me to keep intact and mentally, so it didn't crack me. And that was very important, and I stuck to it like glue. I just did that. I made my mind up when I was 13. Okay, but that was not all I thought of. Let's go through some other things. I decided at the same time to not hold a grudge against anyone or anything, because something told me, how did I know this? But something told me it would only hurt me if I did. Don't hold a grudge against someone. I never have. It's one reason I've acted like I did when the kid pushed me named Chris, and I tutored him later in math, and I didn't rub his nose in it, or getting stabbed in the back and not even pounding the guy up when I saw him again a couple of years later, or trying to. I think I could have, but I didn't. Or when the Nick Kozub, the drummer for my band, put a knife between my hair and my and it's got the knife that quick between my hair and my neck, and I threw the knife forward, but then I was angry, so I threw it downward at my feet, and it actually cracked a can of Coke that was unopened and just spattered all over. I could have said, Amy, stop the car, and gone in on Nick with the knife, but I didn't. I de-escalated the situation. It was enough. I just stopped. I kept the knife as a souvenir for a couple of weeks, but I didn't like the energy of it in my room. I didn't like the knife anymore. So I put it in a bunch of paper so no one could see it was a knife. I don't want to hurt, if someone finds it, I don't want them to find it if possible. And I put a bunch of newspapers around it or something around it, socks or something, and threw it in the trash, and never had it again. But I didn't continue the violence. The dog that charged me, that was a big dog, by the way, a big white dog. It wasn't just a little pup that charged me, it started to run after me. And I just stopped and said, no, you're a good girl. And she stopped right in front of me where she could have just tore me up. And she just went away, kind of like, sorry. And I didn't go back to the owner and make a problem. And, hey, your dog did. I didn't do that. It was like, it was over. The situation had de-escalated, and I just walked on, never gave it another thought. Well, I'm thinking about it now, but I never pursued getting her, the owner and all that. I didn't do any of that. I figured out not to hold grudges. Even when I get upset with people in the Mormon church, I called the dude later the next day, or later that day, or the next day, or whatever day it was, and I wasn't mad. It wasn't personal. I wasn't angry in here. I was just processing what I was going through on the video. I needed to get it straightened out. I just don't hold. Shirtless Guy doesn't hold grudges, and I don't. And if I start to, I deal with it, let it go, forget it, get over it, and stop it quickly. So I don't hold on to a grudge for any length of time. That's significant, because grudges only hurt me. That's why, and part of me almost feels sorry for my haters, some of them, because they're hurting themselves with their hate. But that's not my problem or my fault. So I can't go on about that. But I feel that for just a split second sometimes. I feel sorry for these people. But I can't get sucked into that, because that's their fault and their problem, not mine. Sorry. And another thing I thought of in my walk, I'm trying to do the best I can. If I forget a couple things, I don't mean to, but I'm trying my best to do this. I realized that if there's danger, I'm going to walk toward it, not run away, not run toward it, and not even freeze, but just walk slowly toward danger. Some kid wants to beat me up, I just walk toward him. I don't run away, I don't run toward him, and I don't just stand there. I will just walk toward him. Shirtless, and that's anything dangerous, you know. I learned that to face the fear is the easiest way out, not to run from it or to avoid it. If you walk toward fear, it's the only way through it. It's the only way out of the problem is to walk toward it and see what happens. And when it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And either way, you've walked toward your fear. And I learned that at 13 years old, I figured that out. Something was telling me this. I don't know. Joseph Smith had a vision at 14 or something, and I don't know the whole. I could go on about it. And I'm not a prophet, and it wasn't something I heard or saw physically with my eyes or ears, but something was guiding me in this. I have a feeling, but I can't prove that, but just a feeling I have. So that's another thing, and that served me well. I just walked toward the problem. What are you going to do? You can't. There's no other solution, and that's what I did. I've done ever since. Okay, next thing. I did all this on a 2-hour walk when I was 13. I decided that I told myself, I made a covenant with myself, like I shook my own hand. I'm not going to transfer the violence that was done to me. I wasn't going to do it to my kids. I was not going to do that. So I made a deal with myself. If I'm not 100% sure that I will not do to my kids what my dad is doing to me, I won't have kids. And I mean 100%. I made that deal with myself when I was 13. I figured that out. There's no way. I'm not even. If there's any chance, and that means more than zero, that I'm going to do to my kids what my dad is doing to me, I'm not having kids. And I stuck to that like glue. Turns out I could never tell myself that. And when I was in my 20s and 30s, I couldn't say that. So I never had kids. I didn't care. I was an attractive kid. I had strippers giving me their numbers in the 90s and saying, call me. And I would agonizingly not call them. I just wouldn't let myself have kids because I couldn't tell myself with absolute certainty that I wouldn't, do to them what my dad was doing to me. I couldn't promise myself that. And sometimes it was even 1% chance, but that's still greater than zero, isn't it? And I didn't let myself have kids. It's the only reason I don't have that's a big reason I don't have kids. And I've stuck to that. All this happened to me when I was 13. I kid you not. It all went through my head. At 13 years old, I knew this, that if there was even 1% chance, that was too much. That I would do that to my kids. I wasn't going to do that. I know how it felt. And there was not any chance I was going to do that to anybody else. Even if it wasn't my fault, even if I couldn't help it, blah, 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 I wasn't going to do it. And I didn't have kids because of that. Everybody was having kids in the 90s. You got to, what else was there? And I didn't. That's because of that promise I made to myself. Now I'm good, okay? But I'm not trying to have kids. I'm 59 years old. I'm not trying to. Why would I? But I could now. But when I was in my 20s and 30s, I couldn't promise myself that I wouldn't. And so, no kids for me. And I don't have any blood brothers and sisters I know of. I don't know who my parents were, other than I believe it's Jim Morrison. And probably Pam Corson is my mom, probably. But I never met a blood relative. Don't know for sure anyone that's more closer to me than a first or second cousin that 23andMe and Ancestry.com gave me. But that's okay. Existential uniqueness. What's wrong with it? Embrace it. Get over it. Yeah. So, anything else while I was thinking? My thoughts go through my head so fast sometimes. It feels like if I have a thought and it's been 2 minutes since I had it, it feels like it's been a few hours sometimes because my thoughts are so quick, and I can't. Sometimes I don't remember something I thought 2 minutes ago because it's so many thoughts have happened in between. I don't remember it. What was my other thought? If I have one, what was I thinking? No, I'll just let it go. So yeah. that was what I figured out. That's the main points. Is that's the main points I figured out on my walk. It's a lot to think of. That's a lot to figure out on your own when you're 13 and stick to it and remember it now that it's been all these years later, 46 more years later. I may have missed a detail or two, but maybe I didn't. That's the main points I have. I have a feeling those are the main points. I don't think there were others. Let me think real quickly. No, that's the gist of it. That's a lot to figure out, and I stuck to it. I didn't add or take away from it, and I stuck to it. That's how I've lived my life. 13 years old too. So, yeah, so I'm excited musically, right? As I've told you guys, I finally got my head around classical music yesterday. I'm excited about that. Not going to force it. Not going to try to be Mozart if it doesn't happen, but I got my head around classical music. Not just playing at it, but I think I can actually attempt to do, to play it kind of, at least in my own way. And I think that'll be good. And I had a couple other breakthroughs I have 3 breakthroughs I'm hanging my hat on right now. Whatever that means, hanging your hat on. Is that like a coat hanger? Another one is I'll tell you about these other 2. One of the 3 that I'm holding on to right now is I got my head around Yngwie Malmsteen. I think I told you guys that though, didn't I? I don't remember. Maybe I did. I think I got my head around Yngwie. I can do him. He's the hardest. Him and Steve Vai, the hardest rock guitarists to get your head around. Take it from me or don't take it, but that's what I believe. In some ways, Vai is harder. Some ways, Yngwie's harder. But if you put the 2 together, hardest guitarist in rock. And then after I got my head around Yngwie, I got my head around Vai a little later. But Yngwie is still the main one because he was the harder one. But Vai was even harder in a certain way because I had to do Yngwie first to get my head around Vai. Vai is more advanced. But Yngwie is harder because it was hardest to get the first one, which is Yngwie. So they kind of go tandem, Yngwie and Steve. I know that Eddie Van Halen is a greater, musician over time, and history shows than Steve Vai. But Steve Vai's better, the best rock technical guitarist ever, and Yngwie is the best metal guitarist ever in my book. You put the 2 together, get your head around those 2 guys, and seals the deal. And I've done that. But it started with Yngwie. Got my head around him. The middle one, the third, which is the third one I'm telling you about, is cool too. I haven't ranted about this yet. Wow. I was thought about doing it, but I didn't want to. I just haven't done it. Anyway, I mastered alternate picking, but on a deeper level than I have before. I meant that when I said it other times, but I hadn't really. I was still on the road. I might have actually got there now. Let me explain. So, when I was 28 years old, which is 15 plus 13, both those numbers I like. I like 15 and I like 13. They add together to be 28, which is a cool number too. When I was 28 years old, which was 31 years ago, 1995, I figured out alternate picking. I think it happened in a dream or something. Nobody taught it to me. I just had a really weird dream or something. And when I woke up, I picked up my guitar. It was like a cream colored guitar. And I just started alternate picking. I don't know where it came from, really. I can't explain it. Same year I got stabbed in the back, but not the same event, because obviously getting stabbed in the back does not teach you alternate picking. But I figured out alternate picking in 1995. And I went to one of my uncles who was a big music influence on me, this uncle. And he said, well, just master it. He was happy I got it. I showed him. But then he said, just master it. You know how hard just master it can be? 3 words. You know how hard it was to do that? Let me explain how hard that was. First of all, what do you got to do to master alternate picking? This is like a guitar lesson now. There's 3 things that I believe. You can take it or leave it. The first thing is just getting the stroke motion. Right hand motion, right hand, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. Just the motion itself. That's number 1. Number 2 is make the left hand be in sync with that and keep up with it. So coordinate the left hand with the up, down, da, 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 da. That's hard. The next thing is go from string to string, and that's hard. You got 3 things, kid, to master to get alternate picking really under your belt. Master the alternate picking itself, get the left hand in sync and keep up with it. Go from string to string. And guess how long it took me to master it? 30 years. How many things are there to master? 3. That's 10 years for each of those 3 things if you average it out. It's like saying it took me 10 years to get this motion, 10 years to follow with the left hand, and 10 years to go from string to string. It'd be the same exact model as what really happened if I said that. Now, obviously, it wasn't one at a time, but I was working on all 3, but it took 30 years to get that to where I can say, Uncle, I mastered it. And that just happened a few days ago. So I've got Yngwie Malmsteen, mastered alternate picking, and I got my head on classical music. So I did, yeah. So and by the way, I need. It's funny. I need to feel like I'm growing and challenge and progressing to really do videos with heart like I do. I have to feel like I'm showing you guys something new in my head. Maybe it's not new to you. It doesn't look like it because you just see me playing and it just looks like the same person playing and whatever. But I always try to have something like to bring to the table that I didn't have last time I played. And so I'm showing you guys something new, even though it's still me, it's still guitar, it's still me playing, but there's something new I bring to the table with each jam or whatever, which at least I try to do. It keeps me interested, keeps me in the game, and keeps me playing. You know, it's because I haven't mastered everything. I still have things to work on. And when I work on something and I have something, I go, oh, let me show you guys this. I'm not saying this literally, but I think of it in my head. I go, I'm going to show them this little thing. And it keeps me playing, and it keeps me like happy playing guitar, and it keeps me doing these videos. Because once I think if it ever happened where I couldn't progress anymore, it would be a hard thing to do another one. I would just think, well, I did that already. What am I doing now? So whether you got, believe it or not, in other words, even if it sounds like you're just still me, still playing, I almost always have something new, small or little, each time I do a video that keeps me interested and keeps me wanting to play and it keeps me wanting to do another video. Love you guys. Peace, love, and rock and roll.